In something like 15 years of songwriting, I've had some distinct phases where I actually utilized different songwriting styles, and over time I realized, hey, there are some benefits and some drawbacks to different styles of songwriting, and oftentimes songwriters sort of just have one style and don't even think about how there are actually other ways to write songs. So in this video, we're going to talk about the producer style of songwriting. So overall, what is producer style songwriting? Well, I would say that's primarily characterized by writing as you record and primarily writing a song for a specific recording of the song. Overall, you could say this is epitomized really by EDM producers, hence producer style songwriting. So if you go look up videos from people who are more EDM producers, maybe a deadmau5 video or something, when they're breaking down how they make a song, this is really what we're talking about when we talk about producer style songwriting. Now, to be clear, while it's epitomized by an EDM producer, I don't think that it needs to be exclusive to them. In fact, I think a lot of songwriters that are outside of EDM music could really benefit from utilizing this songwriting style. And there are some other ways to sort of figure out if you're writing with this style. And one way is if you're writing multiple instrument parts before you finish a song. For your typical songwriting process, you often might get to the end of your song and really what you have is a guitar part, which might be a chord progression, a finger picking pattern, or a hook. But you have that, you have your vocal over it, which then includes the melody and the lyrics. But you might not have even thought about, well, what's the bass part? What is the piano doing? Instead, you just have one instrument and then your voice. But in producer style songwriting, it would be very common to actually have many different instrument parts written before you get to the end of your song. In fact, you might even have a whole arrangement of a song before you actually have written the lyrics for it. Another way to know that you might be doing producer style songwriting is if you're recording a song as you're writing it. Now, when I say this, I don't mean recording it into your phone. I mean you actually have a DAW or digital audio workstation and you are actively recording a track that eventually will be a song that you'll release while you're writing the song, rather than writing the song and then later getting to the recording process. Another sign you might be leveraging producer style songwriting is if you're not really thinking about how this would translate to a live performance, or in general just thinking about performing it live, but instead you're just thinking about how do you make a great recording of a song, and you're thinking more about the recording than you are about, say, playing this at a coffee shop or with a band. Another sign that you might be utilizing producer style songwriting is if you're starting your song or early on in your songwriting process, you're writing instrument parts for instruments you don't actually play. So let's say that you only play the guitar, but you actually start your song, or early on in your songwriting process, you come up with a string part, maybe even a string quartet part, or maybe an organ part, or maybe some synth parts that are an important part of the song. That is a good sign that you are utilizing the producer style of songwriting. Because if you're not, usually you would just write your guitar part. You might even finish your entire song with only the guitar part that you would play and the vocal, which includes the lyrics and the melody, before you even think about, oh, here's where strings could come in, or hey, it'd be cool to actually have the foundation of the song be an organ part, or maybe be brass. You're not even thinking about that for most other songwriting styles. But in a producer style of songwriting, you might actually start your song with, you know what, I want the foundation of this song to be an organ sound. I don't own an organ, I don't play the organ, but hey, I can start with an organ sound anyway because we have virtual instruments, we have recording software. So whether you utilize this or not is not as important as what are the benefits and what are the drawbacks. So if you don't leverage this songwriting style at all, what are some benefits that maybe should inspire you to try it out? And then what are some drawbacks if maybe you are a person that this is the only way that you've actually written songs, so that maybe you're inspired to try a different style that maybe doesn't have those same drawbacks. So one of the main benefits of this style of songwriting is that the natural emphasis on a single recording or a single arrangement of a track or song is going to naturally make this the easiest way to come up with a killer recording of a song. This may seem obvious, but usually what you're emphasizing is going to be the part that is great. So if you emphasize, hey, I'm a guitarist and I want to write a killer guitar part, usually your guitar part, as a guitarist who prides herself on being a guitarist, is going to be way better than the piano part you come up with, because you're emphasizing, hey, I want to write a guitar part. I want to come up with a killer guitar part. In the same way, if we're writing our song and actively thinking about like, hey, I want to write a killer recording of this song. I want the recording of this song to be awesome. And that's essentially what I'm writing. I'm essentially writing and arranging a specific track or a specific arrangement of a song. So that's going to make it easier to make sure that the arrangement is actually killer, compared to writing a song and then later trying to figure out, okay, how do I make a whole arrangement of this song that will work well for a recording? Another massive benefit is that the producer style of songwriting is the least limiting when it comes to different sounds and instruments that can provide the bedrock of your song and be the main inspiration of your song. So to illuminate what I'm talking about here, let's say you only play the piano. If you only play the piano, then every single one of your songs is going to naturally emphasize the piano because that's what you wrote the song with, and it's the only instrument you play. So any arrangement that you might come up with or have a band help you come up with later is still going to have piano at the center because that is usually the part that was written first and the part that was naturally emphasized because you wrote the song and you're a pianist. But if you're utilizing producer-style songwriting and you are recording as you write, you might actually decide, you know what? I kind of want to use an organ sound instead of a piano sound, or I want to use synth sounds instead of a piano sound. Because with producer-style songwriting, as you're sitting at your DAW, at your computer, your recording software, and you're thinking, okay, how do I write this song? Or where am I going with this song? It's a pretty natural thing to be like, you know what? Let's, instead of playing with a piano sound, let's actually utilize a string sound or an organ sound or a synth sound. And then you can write your whole song off of maybe a combination of two different synth hooks that you write instead of a piano part. But if you were utilizing another songwriting style that emphasized basically maybe performance or something else where you would just sit at your piano, then the timbre of the piano, the sound of the piano, and the parts that you come up with a piano are going to always be what inspires your song, which can be very limiting compared to utilizing recording software where now you can have access to all different types of synths. You can even get a VST, a virtual instrument, that maybe is even electric guitar, even though you don't play guitar, and then you can build a song off of an electric guitar part, even though you don't play electric guitar. And another major benefit is that the producer style of songwriting can really allow your arrangement to influence the direction of your song. If you are usually writing a song where you just sit at your piano or your guitar and you finish the entire song before you add even a second instrument, you don't even know if it's going to utilize strings or synths or whether you're going to utilize a wall of electric guitars. You don't know any of that because you've written your entire song thinking of it as a singer-songwriter. You're sitting with your guitar performing a song, and that's mostly how you've written your song. But when you are recording your song as you write it with a producer mindset, you might do something like you write a piano part for your verse. But then from there, instead of utilizing the piano part to write your chorus, you actually transition into, you know what, I want to build my chorus off of an organ part. And then eventually, even though if you had written your song just at the piano, it would truly be a piano song through and through, and who knows what type of an arrangement you would have come up with. But you might actually discover a sound or a synth or string parts, or even something like a bagpipe virtual instrument that then sort of influences the direction where your song goes in a way that you just never would experience if you wrote every single part of your song at the piano or at the guitar, because sounds inspire us in different directions. Just as an easy illustration of what I'm talking about here, if you take your acoustic guitar and play and improvise and try to write a song with that for 5 minutes, but then you grab your electric guitar, turn up the distortion, you'll probably find the way you play the instrument is totally different. It's the same exact instrument though. The only difference is the sound inspired you to play in a different way. Same thing with keyboards. If you have a keyboard that has maybe a string setting or a harpsichord setting, just changing to that setting, even though it's the same instrument, the same keyboard, you'll start to play differently because the way it sounds influences the way that you write and the way that you play. So really with producer style songwriting, it's this on steroids, because you might start writing a song with the idea that, hey, this is going to be an acoustic guitar song, but then as you're writing the song, you actually discover, hey, there's this cool organ sound that fits with the song really well. And then it might actually turn into some sort of grandiose sounding, almost hymn-like song that it never would have turned into if it wasn't for the fact that you sort of discovered the organ sound while writing your song, and that influenced the way your song turned out in a way that it couldn't if you already wrote your entire song and then figured out an arrangement later. But then, of course, there are also drawbacks. For example, let's take the last benefit. The benefit of your arrangement influencing the direction of your song can also be a drawback from a certain point of view, because you might not actually want different instruments that aren't things that you would play live or aren't instruments that you play to influence the direction of your song too much, especially if you are concerned about making sure that the song translates to live well. Which brings up another drawback, which is that this is a songwriting style where you would have to really keep in mind the live performance, because it could get away from you in that you get so wrapped up in making this recording of the song awesome that you don't even think about like, okay, but when I perform it live, acoustic, by myself, what would I actually play? Because you might be coming up with a string quartet part and a wall of synths and all these instruments that you would never play in context of a recording, and never even think about like, oh, well, what would the acoustic version of this song be like? So then it might not translate to live nearly as well as if you wrote the song with live in mind. And another drawback of this songwriting style can be that nothing really stands out on its own. And what I mean by that is it might be the case that your entire arrangement of the song is very interesting because that's how you were writing the song, but there's no single instrument that is absolutely killer. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes you want to have one instrument that is absolutely killer and can carry the song, especially if you're thinking about performing it live. Because if I'm going to go perform a song live and I know it's just going to be me at the piano singing, I want to make sure that the piano part is interesting and killer, because then it will translate really well to me just playing it alone by myself. But with producer style songwriting, you might actually come up with, say, a combination of 4 different synth parts that all work together to create essentially one cool hook or sound, which is something you can never replicate live, and really results in not a single instrument that is an absolute standout, like an awesome guitar hook or a really cool piano riff. And another drawback is that this can often not help if we already struggle with lyrics last mentality. Now, when I say lyrics last mentality, what I'm not saying is that we just literally write lyrics last. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. What I am saying is if you kind of consider lyrics the throw-in thing that you have to do at the end, really you just want to write music, but then you're like, well, I mean, I have a singer, so I got to write lyrics. If that's your attitude already, then this is not going to help with that. And that's something we really all need to get past, whether you struggle with that or not. I don't know. I hope you don't. But lyrics are incredibly important. Of course they are. They're the entire plot of your song. And if they're not important, why are they the loudest part of the song? Why are they right up the middle? Why are they the focus of every recording? Why is that like the main thing that people complain about at concerts? Like, oh, I couldn't hear the vocal. Like, of course the vocal is the most important part, which is the melody and the lyrics. So the lyrics are important. If the lyrics say or tell a stupid story that nobody cares about, then why would anybody care about the song? But anyway, we won't go too deep down that rabbit hole. Point is that when you are thinking about writing a great arrangement and recording of a song, it can be easy to come up with this whole recording and arrangement that's magnificent, and you put all this work in already, and you still don't have any lyrics, and then it can be easy to find yourself kind of throwing the lyrics in at the end, which of course is not a good thing. So if you already struggle with not prioritizing lyrics as much as you know you should, this songwriting style is probably not going to help you get out of that bad habit. So hopefully this was helpful to you. If it was, something else you may find helpful is my free guide on 10 different ways to start writing a song. I think it's really important to start writing songs not the same way every time, because it can be a great, easy hack to actually stay inspired if you don't write songs in the same way every time. If you constantly grab your guitar and expect yourself to be inspired, eventually you're going to sort of run out, or you're going to feel like, I've written this chord progression before. But just going over to the piano, or just utilizing a different sound, or starting with lyrics first, or you could take a song title that you think is really compelling and then reverse engineer. Well, okay, a song called Whispers of Angels. What would that song be about? And then reverse engineer the song. Utilizing all these different ways to start writing a song can help you keep you fresh creatively, rather than sometimes we will fall into a rut if we just keep doing the same thing over and over. Like for me, the temptation is just sit at my piano and start with piano. But eventually I can't come up with a piano riff that I find interesting because I've just done it too much. So I got to go grab the guitar. I got to reverse engineer a song from a song title. I got to start with lyrics first. I got to do different things to help bring the inspiration back. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. Totally free. Link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. I'll talk to you in the next one.